and Therian Knight here's with me today. But
One.
today I thought maybe we could go down a rabbit hole. It's not really a rabbit hole because it's the truth, guys. But this is in reference to the Jeremiah Project and the Club of Rome. So if you haven't heard of the Club of Rome, buckle up. The Club of Rome itself, it was founded in 1968 by an Italian industrialist, and his name is Aurelio Pecci or Pecci, something like that. And the Club of Rome is a global think tank, basically, okay? And it deals with a variety of international political issues. And originally, the Club of Rome was defined with three major concepts, okay? And basically, they're what form the club, and they're thinking. So it's a global perspective on the long term, and it's a cluster of intertwined problems they called the problematic. Okay, so hang on a second. I don't like to read on camera because my eyes get squinty. So some would say that they specialize in crisis creation, excuse me, using the Hegelian dialectic to accomplish their goals. And according to its own website, the Club of Rome is composed of scientists, economists, businessmen, international high civil servants, heads of state, former heads of state from all five continents, who are basically convinced that the future of humankind is not determined once and for all, and that each human being can contribute to the improvement of our societies, right? And it says here the Club of Rome is perhaps at the apex of the New World Order pyramid, and it's a neo-Malthusian organization with interlocking membership, which goes with European power elite groups, such as the Committee of 300, a secret society founded by the British aristocracy in 1727, and the Bilderberg Group. And then Thomas Robert Malthus argued the population was held within resource limits by two types of checks: positive ones, which raised the death rate, and preventative ones, which lowered the birth rate. So the positive checks included hunger, disease, war, and then the preventative checks were abortion, birth control, prostitution, homosexuality, postponement of marriage, and celibacy. And then the Club of Rome's members, including Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands and Mikhail Gorbachev, believe humanity requires a common motivation, namely a common adversary, in order to realize the world government. So in searching for a new enemy to unite us, this says, we came up with the idea that population, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. But in designating them as the enemy, we fall into the trap of mistaking symptoms for causes. All these dangers are caused by human intervention, and it's only through changed attitudes and behavior that they can be overcome. The real enemy then is humanity itself. And that's by the Club of Rome, the first global revolution, 1991.
And for that, I'd like to throw in a Bible verse.
Okay.
Okay, it's Jeremiah 6:17. Also I set watchmen over you, saying, hearken unto the sound of the trumpet. But they said, we will not hearken. I just think this fits in, with like the Jeremiah project and the way it's going.
Exactly. Give a little description on what you're talking about.
It's like, think of it, it's like they're not knowing when to stop. They're not listening. It's like they're rejecting it. It's like they're being told when to stop, but they keep pushing.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, one of the first orders I see here is the Jeremiah Project itself is like countering these things that we're talking about. Now, world depopulation, that was one of the main ones that was set up here. And that's to facilitate the management of the New York Order agenda calls for the elimination of most of the world's population through war, disease, abortion, and famine. And according to the Club of Rome's publications, the common enemy of humanity is man itself. It says one of the major goals of the Club of Rome is to reduce the world's population by 2 billion people through war, famine, disease, and any other means necessary.
Well, if you think about it, when it's like this war, famine stuff, it's
Uh-huh.
all completely pointless. There's enough resources on this planet for about 18 times what there is right now.
That's right.
There's no shortage of food. There's no shortage of like anything.
No, they're causing it by controlling the weather, Therian. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Where our
Plus,
crops
also think about it. They're also herding people in like cattle into cities.
in the inner
And
city,
it's like the people living in the cities where it's like they live surrounded by other people, like tower blocks, flats,
all crowded.
apartments everywhere. Yeah, they're getting told the world's overpopulated, so they're thinking the world's just like that city they're living in. When it's not, it's like there's tons of empty space where there's no
Oh,
one, where there's plenty of
oh, yeah,
space for people to live.
that's right. In actuality, we look at the United States, we look at the Middle East, we look at Australia, we look at Mexico, and there's so much land that's unpopulated. Completely.
Yeah, it's only about 13% of the whole planet is populated by humans. Only 13% is really small. If you look at it.
And that right there is one more means, to control us by the deceptions, and people fall prey to that deception. But it says here, not only did the Club of Rome's 1972 report limits to growth call for a reduced level of consumption of resources, it also argued that humankind needs to reevaluate its exploitative attitude, towards humans and the earth itself. And it says the failure to give more foreign aid is indicative of the increased selfishness of rich countries. And meanwhile, the world's richest 20% of the population consume 86% of its goods and services. And that's over half of its energy and nearly half of its meat and fish. And in the Club of Rome book, The First Global Revolution, the group called for a limit to growth approach to solve the world's problems. In fact, a problem the global elite has with humanity is searching for a new enemy to unite us. And we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. And it says the book states all these dangers are caused by human intervention, and thus the real enemy then is humanity itself. Hmm. So it doesn't matter if this common enemy is a real one or an invented, for the purpose. In the process of struggling against the like implacable enemy, democracy, okay, it will be made to seem responsible for the lagging economy and the scarcity of uncertainties. It says the very concept of democracy could then be brought into question and allow for the seizure of power. And then we go on to the one world government. And it says Trump advisor Richard Haas, the current president of the Council of Foreign Relations, he expanded on the topic of world government in his article, which is state sovereignty must be altered in globalized era. That's what it's called. But according to Haas, a system of world government must be created by sovereignty eliminated in order to fight global warming and terrorism, both invented, as the Club of Rome suggested. Some governments are prepared to give up elements of sovereignty to address the threat of global climate change. So, the goal should be to redefine sovereignty for the era of globalization, to find a balance between a world of fully sovereign states and international system of either world government or anarchy. You know, I don't believe in global warming theory.
I don't.
I think it's all contrived.
It is. It's
Mhm.
like, think about it. Even by the way they go on records,
Mhm.
the records don't go back far enough, to prove anything.
Mhm.
And if you look at the planet the way it's been, it's always changing.
Exactly.
It goes hot, cold, hot, cold.
Right.
It's like the ice caps melt and then they refreeze somewhere else when the poles shift. That's
Yeah,
normal.
that's right.
And it's like, if you look at history, it shows it. Look at the Ice Age.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Bound to happen again. It's happened before, so therefore it's likely to happen again, isn't it?
Yeah, we know a lot of people believe that pole shift's going to be sudden and it's just going to be boom and it's a disaster. Myself personally, I believe the shift happens slowly, which it has been happening. I mean, there's people that prove it that's been shifting slowly. It's been slowly happening. I mean,
Yeah,
you
it's
can
when the
tell,
pole shifts, there's nothing to fear.
right? I don't think
It
it's going
doesn't
to happen.
really do anything.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen all at once like people think. It's going to be a huge disaster. I mean, you can tell by the changing of our seasons and everything else that it's happening. But anyway, it says here that in 1976, the United States Association of Club of Rome, USACOR, was formed for the purpose of gradually shutting down the United States economy. And since then, working in concert with their international counterparts, they've been pushing the junk science of climate change, fueled a global financial crisis triggered by mortgage crises in America, resulting in trillions of dollars being transferred to globalist banks from countries around the world on the brink of default, and inciting revolutions throughout the Middle East that are spreading to the Western world. And our global rulers are systematically taking down the global economy in order to impose what Hawke describes as an international system of either world government or anarchy. So it says the Club of Rome, headed by Maurice Strong, is the group that takes the issue of global warming, whether real or imagined, as an excuse to institute a one world government or a new world order. And as Glenn Beck and guests discussed this in preparation for the upcoming guest, Lord Christopher Monckton. And it says, led by progressives in the United States Congress, they've been able to pass a cap and trade system. And that will result in the largest transfer of wealth in the United States history with relatively little opposition. And in recent years, with the help of the corporate media, they have cranked up the propaganda about climate change and will eventually impose punitive carbon taxes on all American people, a scheme that may eventually lead to the near complete reversal of hundreds of years of technological process of man's return to the Stone Age. It's pretty messed up. It says, under my plan of a cap and trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket. And that's from Barack Obama in January 17th, 2008 on the San Francisco Chronicle. Uh-huh. Okay. So now we get to the Committee of 300. Okay. There's no need to use they or the enemy except as shorthand. And we know who they, the enemy, is. The Committee of 300, with its Eastern liberal establishment aristocracy, its banks, its insurance companies, giant corporations, foundations, communications networks, presided over a hierarchy of conspirators. This is the enemy. John Coleman, Conspirators Hierarchy. Now, the Committee of 300 is modeled after the British East India Company's Council of 300, founded by the British aristocracy in 1727. And most of its immense wealth arose out of the opium trade with China. I'm going to put my headphones on. I'm hearing feedback big time. Hang on 1 second. Get plugged in over here. You know, I mean, a lot of this stuff just, I mean, those of us that are like conspiracy theorists or whatever, we know this information, but there's a lot of people that just sit in the background quietly and they have no idea what's up, you know? They have no idea about this stuff that's even going on. All right. Let me get my headphones on. They're in. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. All right. So, where I was, okay. This trade group is responsible for the phony drug wars here in the United States with the agenda of getting the U.S. to give away our constitutional rights. Okay. And it says asset forfeiture is a prime example when huge assets can be seized without trial and no proof of guilt needed. And 300 men, all of whom know one another, direct the economic destiny of Europe and choose their successors from among themselves. So, some notable members of the Committee of 300 include the British royal family, the Dutch royal family, House of Habsburg, House of Orange, Duke of Alba, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, Lord Carrington, Lord Halifax, Lord Alfred Milner, John Jacob, Waldorf, and the Astor Illuminati bloodline, Winston Churchill, Cecil Rhodes, Queen Elizabeth II, Queen Juliana, Queen Beatrix, Queen Margrethe, King Haakon of Norway, Colonel Mandel House, Aldous Huxley, John Forbes, Avril Harriman, William and McGeorge Bundy, George Bush, Prescott Bush, Henry Kissinger, J.P. Morgan, Maurice Strong, David Rockefeller, David and Evelyn Rothschild, Paul, Max, and Felix Warburg, Ormsby, and Al Gore, Bertrand Russell, Sir Ernest and Harry of the Oppenheimer, Illuminati bloodline, Warren Buffett, Giuseppe Mazzini, Sir William Hess, George Shultz, H.G. Wells, and Ted Turner. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that Committee of 300 is the power behind the New World Order.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like, look at like the last few names on that list. H.G. Wells is there.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the original War of the Worlds when he first like aired that on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how everyone panicked.
Yep.
That was like a test right there and then.
Yep.
And then this is how it's a play. But I don't think it played out the same way on the actual night as they say it did.
Yeah, people lost their stuff, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I think they're reporting it like it was like actual news. And
they
this
were.
is far
They
later it's a play. And they had like a completely different thing. It's like a psyop within itself.
Yeah, they didn't tell the people that it wasn't real until it was over, Therian.
Yeah, which is messed up in its own sense.
Right. Absolutely.
So like, think about it. Imagine it's like they're saying like we're at war with China right now.
Mm-hmm.
And every Chinese person's like an agent spy.
Mm-hmm.
Like 007. How many people do you think would be paranoid towards a Chinese takeaway that night? Did we expect like James Bond turning up shooting them?
So true. That's true. Mm-hmm.
And it's like all we ever get on like the TV. It's always fear mongering from like China or Russia, you know, with army stuff.
Or the Middle East.
Yeah. And it's like no, they're classing normal stabbings in London as terror attacks. This is how messed up my country is getting. It's like well, like internet this morning that 11 a.m. UK time. Sitting there, and it's like terror attack last night in London. 2 people stabbed. And I'm looking at it. It's like, yeah, this ain't no terrorist because it don't make sense.
That's ridiculous.
What sort of terrorist like leaves the people like doesn't even give them like a serious wound and leaves them alive?
Well, I mean, they have to go with what they've got, and since y'all can't have guns, then they're going to use what
Yeah,
they've
and then
got.
it says like they're wearing like a fake bomb vest as well, and it's always fucking London.
Yeah,
Seriously, like this bullshit, which it is, it's bullshit.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's another one where they've said just released from prison, terrorist, like a suspected one.
Mm.
Yes, why the hell are they being like allowed to walk free in the country when they're not even from the country? They should be deported instantly.
Yeah,
Because think about it, it's like it shouldn't be this country's like responsibility to put up with terrorists from other countries. They should be sent home.
yeah, yeah.
We shouldn't have to pay for them to be in prison.
It seems contrived.
Yes, why should the taxpayer have to pay for them to get like 3 meals a day and a roof over their head when there's veterans like starving to death on the streets, relying on food banks and homeless shelters? It's bullshit.
It is. It is. It's all pretty much bull crap. Okay, so
It's like a weird thing I noticed. It's like this. What one of the things they're trying to cover up in the news. They're saying about like. So I think what it was. Rejoining the Commonwealth like an hour after Brexit. Like one of like the colony state things.
mhm.
And it's like serious. It's like they lose one member, they get another one straight in. And they're saying over here, yeah, we're still under like EU law for like the next year.
Oh really?
Yeah, so we can't even close the borders for if this coronavirus bullshit's real,
Wow.
which I highly doubt.
Well, you know how I feel about that. I mean, it's for me.
It's
If I'm rebuking it, I deny it. It doesn't exist. It's not going to be in my bubble. It's not allowed.
it's like when it was this morning, it was like I was speaking to Tina at the time,
Uh,
and I was looking at it because I'd seen the terror attack thing on YouTube, so I looked on like Sky News, and then I'm looking at what they're trying to hide. And they're going on about coronavirus, and I looked like at the headline underneath it where it says how many are being killed in China. It's like from the beginning of the outbreak, it's only been 362 people. So therefore, that shows it's not as powerful a plague as something like the Black Death or Ebola.
wow.
Because
Well,
if it was
it's not
that
even
bad,
a plague.
there would
It's
be
not even a
thousands
plague.
dead.
There,
Yeah,
and
there'd
it's
be
not even a
thousands.
plague. No, it's
Yeah,
a
and how many
weapon.
people die in winter from the flu?
Right. Yeah, that's what this is. That's what the coronavirus is. It's just a flu. It's a like a weapon. It's used. It was created like as a bioengineered weapon, but it's just a mega flu. It's like a super flu on crack or something. You know what I mean?
Yes, just make sure to stay healthy, and you'll be fine.
Well, I mean, you just make sure you don't take a flu shot, because if you do, then you've got that in your body for the rest of your life, and they can reactivate it in a future time through another inoculation or other things as well. We won't go into that.
Yeah, remember, it's like if you get sick, your body creates its own immunities.
Yep. Yep.
If it's just like a few days feeling like crap, it's just a few days feeling like crap. You just go over it.
Well, if you're blessed with a normal functioning body, but if you've got immune deficiency, syndrome like I do, then, it gets to be worrisome. But I've just learned that my God is a more powerful God than any God of this earth, and he tells me I've got authority over all these things. So why don't I claim my authority? And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand on that.
Yeah, well, think about it. All they're doing is taking like a normal flu and then hyping it out of proportion.
That's
It's
what it is.
fear porn after fear porn constantly.
It's just a mega flu is all that is. I mean, that's how I see it anyway. But getting back up to the Committee of 300, okay? It looks to social convulsions on a global scale, followed by depressions as a softening up technique for bigger things to come, and as its principal method of creating masses of people all over the world who will become its welfare recipients of the future. Okay, that's what that says. So, anyway, so what do you think about this? I mean, Darian?
You gotta think about it. They want people on welfare because then it's like the property of the state, and they can manipulate the people's lives easier.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, who are the movers and shakers of the New World Order, and what's their agenda? I mean, the Illuminati, Skull and Bone Society, the Bilderbergers, the Trilateral Commission, the Council of Foreign Relations, the United Nations, the Club of Rome, FEMA, Department of Homeland Security. I mean, all that stuff, all those, are the movers and shakers. Yep. Hi, Chloe. I mean, we've gone over, I think, all of these groups. In the past, I think in the past we've discussed them before as well. I mean, right here it says public charge final rule. The Department of Homeland Security will implement the inadmissibility of public. Where did it go? It's the National Terrorism Advisory System that they've got posted here. I was trying to read it and it went away. Raising the Globe Travel Security Bar. DHS announces new travel restrictions on 6 countries, an updated process of evaluating foreign country compliance. Yep. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get it blown up so I can see what I'm looking at. The DHS issues supplemental instructions for inbound flights with individuals who've been in China. Raising the Global Travel Security Bar. DHS announces new travel restrictions on 6 countries and updated process for evaluating foreign country compliance. DHS and partners using wide range of resources to protect the Super Bowl. Isn't that lovely? Wow. Fugitive wanted by Iraq for murder of Iraqi police officers arrested in Arizona. Wow. I haven't heard that one before. Illegal alien sentenced to 25 years in prison for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine and heroin.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Same shit happens in England.
Nebraska sex offender sentenced to 400 months for child pornography. Yep. Yeah, that's about all I'm seeing here.
But yeah, so this video doesn't get censored. We need to keep it mainstream. So remember, diversity is your strength, folks. Just remember that. That's what they say whenever this shit happens.
It says here, last week, Maritime Safety and Security Team 91109 visited San Diego to train their K9 explosive detective team. The purpose of the training is to put the canines in a controlled situation where they learn to remain calm in stressful environments. Lovely.
You have to remember, it's like a lot of people are going to try and get into
I don't even know why I ventured over to this, but here I am.
And they're not going to care about that country.
Rio
You have
Grande.
to remember, when you look at all these things like these crime statistics, not all illegal immigrants are going to be good people. Some of them are going to be wanting to try and get a better life. Some of them are going to be able to destroy your way of life.
Yeah.
You've got to be prepared for it, good and bad.
Well, there's a lot of them that'll walk all over you to get what they want,
Yeah, some just see the country as a meal ticket. You don't care about, like, integrating or anything like that. And that's the wrong type of attitude to have, when you go to a country.
Right. Yep. Well, most people I know that are foreigners, they come to better their way of life in their own country. And, most people come here and make money and send it back home. But a lot of them come over here and they become accustomed to the way of life here, and this becomes home for them, that was the case with my own husband. I mean, he came over here when he was 12 years old. He's been here his whole life. And when we went to Mexico to visit, he was so uncomfortable. He was just ready to come home because it wasn't home for him over there anymore, But he never came over here and sent money back there either. His way of life is bettering this country, might as well say. But anyway, I was trying to pull up something else. Do you have anything to say about cultural Marxism?
Yeah, but I'd prefer to say that to a different stream.
Okay.
I've got the same feelings about communism as well. Because think about it, it's like, look at these role models you see now, what they keep branding all the SJWs with.
Yeah.
And the SJWs are stupid enough to have on the t-shirts. It's like, think about it, Stalin, yeah, that wasn't a good person. Neither was that Che Guevara dude. The dictators.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
communism isn't cool.
I mean, we have all these issues right here. Let me call them out right quick, okay? Okay, here we go. We've got our First Amendment, our Second Amendment, abortion, Antichrist. Okay, then we've got wait a minute. We go back over here. It's in alphabetical order. Okay, so let's see, where was I? Okay, the Antichrist, and then we've got censorship of children's stories. And then we've got Christian living, civil liberties, climate change, conspiracy theory, cultural Marxism, deep state, Donald Trump economics, how you say ecumenism? I think that's how you say it. Fake news, Federal Reserve, free speech, global warming, GMO, gun control, healthcare, Hegelian dialectic, lawlessness, mainstream media, manufactured crisis, money, new age, movement, politics, pollution, reduction, privacy, propaganda, Revelation 13:16 and 17, salvation, secular humanism. Let's see. I can't see. It's getting small. Okay. Separation of church and state, biblical morals, signs of the last days, stories for children, taxes, tyranny, U.S. Constitution, violence, war on terrorism. It just keeps on going,
Sponsored by shekelforthegoyim.com.
There you go. It just keeps on going, though. My goodness. Yeah, but there's dangerous deceptions.
It's all deception.
Yeah, everything's a deception. We've been lied to about everything. And when you get right down to that, it's really upsetting. Some people just
think about it. If you look in a newspaper or a TV commercial, what's the only truthful thing you get? It's the advertisements, because they're showing what they're selling, and most of that's bullshit as well.
I was gonna say, are you sure that's true?
Yeah, but that's the most truth you're gonna get from it. Think about it, TV. They used to call it the idiot box for a reason.
Right.
You got to be an idiot to believe that shit.
So true. That's so true. Yeah, but anyway, that's about all I wanted to discuss. Lately, my streams have been short and sweet. Yeah, for today, I mean, that was it. That's about it. But I mean, there's so many other arms, so many other tentacles, that spread out in this octopus. I mean, at one point in time, I wanted to discuss Tubal Cain, because that theory kind of flows right into all this other stuff, with the tentacles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how with Tubal Cain, the barber stripes, that's where they come from. I had a bunch of stuff pulled up on it the other day, but I don't know what happened to it. It seems like lately everything on my computer, any research I do, if I don't print it off immediately, it all just disappears. It's just gone. So I don't know who's got a hold of my computer, but it's not me. It's not me. Yeah. But is there anything else you want to add to any of this?
No.
All right. Well, if anybody listens, anybody who's listening, or anybody who hears it, I hope maybe this information was knowledgeable and it helped you out a little bit. But that's about all I wanted to discuss for now. I might come back on and do some Bible later. I don't know.
Yeah, we can do.
All right. Darian, thanks for joining me. And you guys, thanks for listening.
Yeah, and to everyone watching, good night, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Bye, everyone.
Wah, wah.